वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. Can you make me co-host or give me screen sharing rights, Prabhu? I'll share the verse. Thank you. Interesting. So today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, chapter 4, verse 8. विज्ञाय शक्रकृतम् अक्रमम् आदिदेवः प्राह प्रहस्य गतविस्मय एजमानान् मा भैर्विभो मदन मारुत देववध्वो गृणीतनो बलिम् ashunyam imam kurudhvam. So this is the chapter where Drumila explains the incarnations of Godhead to King Nimi, and we are in the section where the creation is being explained. And at one of the previous verses, it says from the wife of I forget the names. Yeah, Dharma and his wife Murti, Narnarayan Rishi is born, and then it goes into an incident in the life of Narnarayan Rishi, how his austerity made King Indra insecure. So that is what we are reading verse 8 today. So I'll go through the synonyms. Vidnyaya, understanding perfectly. Shakra, by Indra. Kritam, committed. Akramam, the offense. Adi Devaha, the original personality of Godhead. Praha, he spoke. Prahasya, laughing. Gatavismayaha, free from pride. Ejamanan, to those who were trembling. Ma bhaihi, please have no fear. Vibho, O mighty one. Madana, Cupid. Maruta, O god of the wind. Deva Vadvaha, O wives of the demigods. Granita, please accept. Naha, from us. Balim, these gifts. Ashunyam, not empty. Imam, this ashram. Kurudhvam, please make. So I'll read the translation. The primeval Lord, understanding the offense committed by Indra, did not become proud. Instead, he spoke laughingly as follows to Cupid and his followers, who were trembling before him. Do not fear, O mighty Madana, O wind god and wives of the demigods. Rather, please accept these gifts I am offering you and kindly sanctify my ashram by your presence. Purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The word Gata Vismayaha, or free from false pride, is very significant. If one becomes proud by performing severe penances, such penances are considered material. One should not think, I am a great, austere personality. Sri Naranarayan could immediately understand the foolishness of Indra, and thus he was amused by the whole situation. Cupid and the heavenly women, understanding their great offense, were trembling before Narnarayan in fear of receiving a powerful curse. But the Lord, exhibiting most sublime saintly behavior, reassured them by saying, Ma bhaihi, don't worry about it, and actually offered them nice prasadam and articles of worship. If you do not give me the opportunity to act as host to the demigods and other respectable personalities, he said, what will be the use of my ashram? My ashram will be void without the opportunity to receive respectable personalities such as you. Similarly, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is establishing beautiful centers in all the major cities of the world. In some of these centers, such as those in Los Angeles, Bombay, London, Paris, and Melbourne, the society has established very gorgeous preaching ashrams. But the Vaishnavas who live in these beautiful buildings feel that the buildings are void if guests do not come to hear about Krishna and chant his holy name. Thus, one may establish a beautiful ashram not for one's personal sense gratification, but to execute Krishna consciousness peacefully and encourage others to take to Krishna consciousness also. ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणम् परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम् Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I'll just read the translation once more. The primeval Lord, understanding the offense committed by Indra, did not become proud. Instead, he spoke laughingly as follows to Cupid and his followers who were trembling before him. Do not fear, O mighty Madana, O wind god and wives of the demigods. Rather, please accept these gifts I am offering you and kindly sanctify my ashram by your presence. Thank you again, dear devotees, for joining today and to discuss this great Amala Puran of Srimad Bhagavatam, the spotless Purana, right, in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So for every philosopher, some of his followers have delineated the main aspects of that philosopher's philosophy. So like a great saint's philosophy, like those who brought about a huge revolution in our Gaudiya Parampara, the revolution that Lord Chaitanya brought about, that has been summarized in five main um, principles of philosophy. And within that, one of the main principles is that Srimad Bhagavatam is the highest praman. Srimad Bhagavatam is the highest authority about devotional service as per Lord Chaitanya. We'll not get into the other four, but they're interesting to discuss as well. So we are discussing this spotless Puran, this Amal Puran of Srimad Bhagavatam. We are very fortunate to be doing that. So thank you all again. Yesterday I saw many of you in person. It was so beautiful to see many of you on the altar offering flowers to the Lord, offering the petals to the flowers, so lovingly depetaled by devotees. And and then of course the bliss and somewhat of a craziness that happened after that when the flowers were showered on everybody. So at one point I was like, I would go down, pick up flowers to shower someone, and then it's like I'm getting flowers from 10 different directions people are throwing at me, and I'm like, oh, what's happening? Some of the petals are going into my mouth and whatnot. So it was a very blissful experience, joyful experience, crazy in somewhat in one sense as well. But overall, it was such a deep and genuine, heartfelt offering by everyone for the Lord and by everyone for each other as well. So very grateful for that. So coming back to what we are discussing in Srimad Bhagavatam today. So I wanted to discuss two principles, or other two topics here. One is tolerating provoking situations, and the other is false pride. So we are at the point in the pastime where Indra has sent Cupid to destroy the meditation of Narnarayan Rishi, because he thinks that the austerities and the penances of Narnarayan Rishi, which are so great, they are a threat to his own position as Indra. Now, this is not the first time that Indra is trying to distract or destroy someone. And this is also not the first time when the Lord has been provoked. So both are not the first time. So probably it's the first time for Indra, in the sense that this is in the beginning of the creation. But then, and we don't even know, one lecture I was hearing, we don't even know if this Indra is the same Indra who is there right now in the heavens, like our Indra, so to say. But in any case, we hear about Indra trying to destroy someone's spiritual activity. For example, Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj started doing Ashwamedha Yajnas, and then apparently, when you do 100 Ashwamedha Yajnas, 100 Ashwamedha sacrifices, you get to, enjoy the position of Indra. And then Prithu Maharaj got to 99, and then Indra becomes very insecure. He's trying to distract Prithu Maharaj, somehow bring in some obstacles. Similarly, Indra becomes insecure when Vishwamitra is performing his austerities. Vishwamitra is performing his meditation. He feels that, oh, Vishwamitra, this is a great sage. He might take away my position of Indra. So then he sends Rambha, the damsel of heaven, to seduce Vishwamitra, and that incident is there. Again, Indra's insecurity is seen, and then even in Govardhan Puja, Indra becomes angry because Krishna convinces the Vrajavasis to offer the puja not to Indra but to Govardhan. So he feels that his position is being minimized. Of course, that having said that, we also need to understand that Indra is setting that example, because Indra is not an ordinary personality. Again, he is someone who, when he does yajnas, uh, Lord Vishnu personally comes and receives the offerings of the yajnas. So he's a great soul. So, but he's setting an example here. The Lord is using him to set an example. So this is not the first time, as I said, Indra is behaving this way, and this is also not the first time when the Lord is being provoked. There is another well-known instance when the Lord was provoked, and that instance was when Bhrigu Muni was deputed by the demigods to find out who is the greatest among Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, Brahma, Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. So he goes to Lord Brahma first, and then to Lord Brahma. So Brahma is his father in terms of lineage. So Bhrigu is so Brahma is Bhrigu's father. So Bhrigu goes to Brahma, and then the etiquette is, when we meet parents, the Vedic etiquette is that we offer our respects. But then Bhrigu went, and then he did not offer respects. He wanted to test Brahma's tolerance of provoking situations. And then Brahma became very angry, right? So the offense here was non-verbal. Bhrigu just did not offer respects, which was the etiquette. And Brahma became offended, and then he became angry. Next, he went to Lord Shiva. To Lord Shiva, the offense was verbal. Bhrigu tested him by a verbal offense. Lord Shiva is also born of Brahma. So then, in one of the versions of the stories, so then Bhrigu, as soon as he sees him, he's like, you're such a uh, dirty person, putting ashes, dead people's ashes all over your body. What is that snake around your neck? Come on, man. And things like that. And he's just insulting. And then Lord Shiva gets very angry. And then he's like, okay, he's not the greatest. Then he goes to Lord Vishnu in the ocean of milk. And Vishnu is, he's in the Yoga Nidra position, on Anantashesh. And then Bhrigu Muni, he goes and kicks Lord Vishnu on his chest. So in case of Brahma, the offense was non-verbal. Of course, this was a test. The test was non-verbal. In case of Shiva, the test was verbal. But in case of Vishnu, the test was physical, like just going and kicking on the Lord's chest. But even then, the Lord exhibited the same kind of quality, that he's doing here, the quality of humility and receiving the guest nicely. So just like he's saying to these demigods, please come and grace my ashram, otherwise what is the use of my ashram. Similarly, Lord Vishnu in that instance, he welcomes Bhrigu Muni. He says, you're a Brahmin, my chest is fortunate to have received your lotus feet. Welcomes him, gives him a place to sit, and so on. So the Lord is, Prabhupada writes in Krishna book the famous statement: one's greatness has to be estimated by one's ability to do what? Anyone? One's greatness has to be.
Tolerate provoking situations.
Thank you, Mataji. Yes, exactly. So one's greatness has to be estimated by one's ability to tolerate provoking situations. And the Lord is actually exemplifying that through this situation, the way he is responding to this provoking situation by Cupid. And actually, if we deeply think about this one instance, we'll see that the Lord was provoked twice. Okay. So one of them is easy to guess, when Cupid hit him with the arrows, right? That is one time when the Lord was provoked. But within the situation itself, the Lord was provoked once more. This might require some thinking, but if anyone has any thoughts. So of course, one provocation was that Cupid came and tried to entice the Lord. But then what was the other provocation? This is a more sinister kind of provocation that we all go through. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to make it too cryptic also. So the other provocation, which I was thinking, was when the demigods were trembling in fear in front of him. The verse says that the demigods were trembling in fear of being cursed. So in the first situation, when Cupid was trying to entice the Lord, the provocation was against the Lord, right? But then when the demigods are in the fear of being cursed, the things are in favor of the Lord in terms of his relative position in terms of being provoked. So he can do anything, whatever he wants, he can do, because the demigods are in fear, like they have surrendered. They know his greatness now. So in both the instances, the Lord, he expressed his humility, his strength, determination of performing penance, and his humility in receiving the guests nicely. So both kinds of provocations are there in our life. If we see, one type of provocation is of course when things are directed negatively towards us, but the other provocation could also be when things are positively directed towards us. Prabhupada had said once famously, Krishna tested me twice. Once by taking away everything from me, referring to his business collapsing and everything. And the second time is by giving me everything. So giving him the Hare Krishna movement, uh, you know, so many facilities, so much Lakshmi. So Prabhupada said Krishna tested me both times, right? And because Prabhupada maintained his groundedness, his humility, and his determination in serving Krishna in both those instances, that is the reason we are here all sitting on a Sunday morning despite a blizzard warning discussing Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is, provoking situations, tolerating provoking situations. And the other theme that comes here in this purport is the theme of false pride. The word gata vismaya, or freedom for free from false pride, is very significant, the purport says. If one becomes proud by performing severe penances, such penances are considered material. One should not think, I am a great, austere personality. So this false pride is something that is often discussed, and is trying to read up about this for today's class. And there are three prongs of false pride in one of the articles I read in Back to Godhead. So the first prong of false pride is grandiosity. So the attitude that, yeah, I'm following a great path, Achintya Bhedabhed, this is the thing, Advaita, Vishishtadvaita, whatever, Achintya Bhedabhed, what Lord Chaitanya is the best, right? And but then that grandeur, I'm following this great path, I'm destined to become great, That is the kind of thinking. I am the best in the world, so I follow the greatest path, but does that make me the greatest person is what we need to think. But then that feeling is there that, oh yes, I'm following something really nice. And how does that manifest? That manifests in the form of belittling others, belittling other philosophies, belittling other talents, talents that others might have, or the approaches to life that others might take, and things like that. Or, belittling other sevas, for example. And there is this nice article in one of the Back to Godheads by one Mataji, Karunadharini Mataji, and it is titled as Who's Better, right? And a very beautiful article. And in that, she goes on to right, how we get into this comparison business, and we condescendingly look at maybe our other pre-Krishna conscious friends, or our family members who may not be following the same path as we are doing. And we might look at them and say that, they are in Maya, they are just, what have they achieved? And then verses like, "Tyaktva swadharmam charanam bhujam harer." Even if you did all your swadharma very nicely in the world, but what is the use if you haven't done bhakti? That kind of a belittling attitude. So that grandiosity is there. That is the first prong of false pride. The second prong of false pride is, the thing is, when we have this false ego, when we practice bhakti with this false ego, it doesn't yield the kind of result that the shastras say it should yield. Then when it doesn't yield that result, where our material desires are going down and things like that, then we start blaming others. That is the second prong of false pride: blame. Why is this devotee like this? Why is, the movement like this? This thing should have been done this way, it would have been better, and things like that. That blame starts happening. And then at some point, we can't blame anyone for what's happening. And then that is the third prong, which is shame. So shame is like, I'm worthless, I'm full of anarthas, good for nothing, and things like that. So the acharyas also have, we've read, expressing this kind of an attitude, but that is internally very differently motivated. That is internally very differently motivated, in the sense that when an acharya says, I'm worthless and good for nothing, the acharya is coming from a place of realizing their insignificance in comparison to the greatness of Krishna. So it is not coming from a sense of self pity. So these are the three prongs of false pride, which I thought are really relevant, and it's mentioned in the verse about false pride as well. So we may be fortunate than others who don't have this path, but are we necessarily better than others? Is something we need to ask ourselves. Because ultimately, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beej. The Bhakti Lata Beej is received by us by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. So is it really our qualification? So what is our qualification? So we need to think, and that will ground us in our Krishna consciousness, is what I feel. And there is this nice song by Narottam Das Thakur, in which he talks about directing the various anarthas in their respective duties. So very very nice song. I'll recite that and I'll read the meaning. Kama Krishna Karmarpane Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane Lobha Sadhu Sange Hari Katha मोह इष्ट लाभ बिने मद कृष्ण गुण गाने निजुक्त कोरिबो जथा तथा. I will engage my lust in eagerness to serve Krishna. I will use my anger against those who are envious of the devotees. I will be greedy to hear the topics of Hari in the association of devotees. I will be illusioned if I fail to achieve my worshipable Lord. And I will feel proud to chant the glories of Krishna. Mada Krishna Gunagane. I will feel proud to chant the glories of Krishna. In this way, I will engage them as in the anarthas in their respective duties. I'll feel proud to chant the glories of Krishna. So, yes, we are not proud of ourselves of being on this path, but we are proud of our acharyas. We are proud of Krishna. It's difficult to be proud of Krishna, in one sense, if you look at it, because that's a very lofty goal. But for us, we relate more with the devotees around us. We relate more with our acharya, Srila Prabhupada, our Gurujanas. So we can feel proud about them. Yes, my acharya, we have acharyas like the Goswamis, we have acharyas like Vishwanath Chakravarti, Srila Prabhupada, and everyone, all the devotees who are doing great things. And in that article, Mataji quotes a letter by Prabhupada. In that letter, Prabhupada is writing to this devotee, um, Krishna has blessed everybody with an extraordinary ability. And when we use our extraordinary ability, that is when our life becomes a success. So, yeah, where is that, Krishna? Yeah, Krishna has given everyone something extraordinary, and to serve Krishna with one's extraordinary talent means successful life. So finding out first what is that thing that which is our calling is itself a big task. But Krishna has blessed us. Prabhupada is saying Krishna has blessed each and every person with some extraordinary ability, and that can be utilized in Krishna service for it to become successful. So anyway, this tolerance of provoking situations and false pride are in one sense interrelated, because when our tendency is to be proud is selflessly directed, that gives us the strength to tolerate provoking situations, because now it's not about me. When we face criticism, it's not really about me. When we face praises also, it's not really about me. Again, it's not the case that when we are criticized or critiqued, we don't take that as constructive feedback, but then we don't wallow in that self pity because of that. So when that selfless pride is there, when our pride is directed towards the greatness of our devotees, of our great acharyas, that then we won't be adversely affected by provoking situations. We will be affected depending on our level of progress, for sure, but then it won't be like a deal breaker for our Krishna consciousness. So, and all this can happen only when we try to cultivate our love for Krishna in the footsteps, in the guidance given by our gurus. So that's all I had, and I don't know, I must have jumped all over the place. Maybe just to bring it all together, I'll summarize what we discussed. So tolerating. So we discussed two themes in this particular verse. One is tolerating provoking situations, the renunciation of the Lord, where he was tried to, Indra deputed Cupid to entice the Lord, but the Lord, far from being enticed by Cupid, he actually remained unaffected. And not just that, out of humility, he welcomed the demigods. And even though the demigods were trembling with fear, the Lord, he said that please come and grace my ashram, grace my hermitage. That's how it will be sanctified. So the Lord is setting the example of tolerating provoking situations. And he's also saying, do not worry. So this do not worry is very significant. Like I was also thinking about that a little, but I couldn't get time to get deep into that. But when somebody says do not worry, right, it's a very sheltering feeling. Like I might say, I might give details in the sense that, okay, I'll not curse you. Okay, I'll not do this. Okay, I'll not do that. But when somebody says do not worry, it calms us down immediately. And that Krishna does in the Gita also, Ma Shuchaha. Krishna says surrender, but then he says, I'll take care of it. Do not worry. And it immediately gives a sense of shelter and a sense of relief. So the Lord is saying, do not worry here as well. And then the second theme we saw was about false pride. We saw the three prongs of false pride: grandiosity. I am following the best path, so I may be the best in the world, and we belittle others. Then blame, when things don't work my way, then we blame others. Then shame, when we don't have anyone to blame, then we wallow in self pity. And then uh, we 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 can ponder on that question. We may be fortunate than others, sure, we receive the path, but are we necessarily better than others? And then we saw how to dovetail the various anarthas as per Narottam Das Thakur. And within that pride, I will feel proud to chant the glories of Krishna, is what Narottam Das Thakur writes. So the pride in our acharyas, the pride in the greatness of Krishna, in that selfless way, that is what will help us tolerate provoking situations and go towards Krishna. So thank you very much, dear devotees. Please forgive me if there were any mistakes, but if there is any feedback, any questions, any comments, please share. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu. Thank you very much. How wonderful is Krishna, and how wonderful are Krishna's devotees. Jamuna Jaya has her hand up.
Hey Krishna, Jagannath Gopal. Thank you so much for class. I just wanted to comment on thank you really for pointing out that second and more subtle and I kind of thinking more dangerous provocation of the moment when someone's down on their knees before you in some ways. And that's an opportunity you can smash them or uplift them. And yeah, that was really such a wonderful thing to pick out because that's something that we can have before us. And that's really a moment of being more like Krishna or not. And Krishna would, as we see, would never crush somebody. They would uplift them and then ashram give them shelter. So thank you so much for pointing that out because that's much more subtle than the other thing. But that's what we have to look out for. So thank you. And you did look good in your yellow vest.
I was thinking the yellow vest will give me a little bit of clout and devotees would refrain from hitting me with flowers, but then that didn't help. They were doing it more, in fact. So,
And that made you more of a target.
Hare Krishna.
Janitai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, thank you so much for a wonderful, wonderful class, and especially the last part about feeling grandioso and then blaming others and then shaming others. As you were describing that, I was going through all three of those phases, each one by one. After you were talking about feeling grand, I was thinking, yeah, and I thought I have to blame someone, and then I realized I feel shame because I'm doing all these things. So you really hit me right in the heart this morning. So I'm very grateful to you for that, helping me to realize the dangers of false pride. I didn't quite catch it. Maybe I got a little distracted at the end. But I'm just wondering what are the ways that we can actually kind of conquer over this false ego, false pride, and yeah, you mentioned that it's okay to be proud. Proud. Sort of Prabhupada said to be proud of being the servant of your spiritual master and proud to be in service of Krishna. But what are some kind of, let's say, tangible ways that we can identify this false pride in ourselves and kind of conquer over it, overcome it?
Yeah, I guess for me personally, when somebody asks me a question or somebody, um, like let's say I'm doing outreach and somebody is asking me very pointed questions about the philosophy, then am I responding to such a person with a view to beat them down and prove our philosophy as the highest, or am I doing it out of a genuine desire to share the knowledge with them, to serve them? Similarly, it happens among devotees also. Few devotees are sitting and discussing, and then, looking at Shastras, you can have various perspectives. And then some perspective may not sit well with one person, some other perspective may not sit well with the other person. So then now, am I trying to impose my perspective on the other person? Or am I like, okay, yes, that is a valid perspective one can have, and that's okay. So so differences are going to be there, but am I going to make those differences a reason for disconnection, or am I going to love the other person despite those differences? So that is what we can see in our own lives, and it's a constant churning. And so what I personally do is, if I get into such situations where I see myself behave in less than ideal way, then I journal about it and I try to think. I try to talk to my guides. Prabhu, this is what I had said. Do you think this was appropriate, and things like that? So of course, sometimes that my guides tell me, do not worry. Ma shuchaha, you are fine. Don't worry about it. But then it's good to self-reflect and see where we are coming from. What is that root desire? Is it to share? Is it to glorify? Is it to serve? Or is it to, in a subtle way, establish our own position, or self-aggrandizement in the name of service to Krishna? Uh, some of the, and in terms of pride for the Vaishnava Acharyas, I think very important aspect there is to discuss the glories of Acharyas. So like deeply discuss the glories of Acharyas, what they have done. Like I personally resonate a lot with Jiva Goswami. So then, trying to understand what he did. Like I may not have the ability to understand the work that he did, but I can surely try to hear classes about him. I try to read literature about what he did, about his brilliance in the way he established, not necessarily what he wrote, but what all he achieved. So I can try to do that. Similarly, yeah, everyone has some kind of I don't want to say it, but favorite acharya. Everybody has some person like that. And then we can try to delve deeper into all our acharyas and hear about them. Yeah. On appearances and disappearance days, those are great ways to do that. So when we know that, yes, this is the lineage that we are coming from, then the Prabhupada famously said, like in retaliation to Darwinism, Darwin can think that we came from monkeys, but I'm proud that I come from great devotees like Arjuna, and because we are ultimately descendants of all those personalities at some point or the other who must have been great souls. So I'm so that's the one way to look at it. Yeah.
Great, thank you for, what I understood then is that basically, first thing is just be kind of self-aware if someone's asking you something that you're not trying to degrade them or berate them in some way. Next is you mentioned something, you can journal, be introspective also, and or take guidance from those who are your peer, your seniors. And then finally, you were mentioning that you can hear about great acharyas, glorify the great acharyas, and become proud to be in that lineage. But I guess when I was hearing that, I was thinking also, if you're connected to Jiva Goswami, there's like no way you can be as erudite a scholar as him. So it also curbs your pride with humility, understanding that you're in that lineage. Beautiful. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Bhima Kaviraj.
Very quickly, one thing that pinned me to this movement, so to speak, to say, okay, this is it. There's no escape. There's no shoulder fakes. I can't spin around what I'm facing here, was Radhanath Swami's ability to connect to a person where they were at. I remember in college 40 some odd years ago, Maharaj had this little preaching center, and he would have lots of people coming over because he would cook up a storm, just he himself, like an Italian grandmother in a small little hot cottage kitchen. And then he would come out and serve us, like, he would serve us. Me, uh, uh, repast after repast, like one after another. Here comes the pakoras, here comes the halava, here comes and then he would tell stories. He would tell stories of his travels. And if anybody had a question, he would ultimately, you know, connect with that person by asking what they're majoring in, what are their interests. He actually showed a real interest in the person. Forget the philosophy, and then he would take it from what that person was interested in, share his own experiences or knowledge, and sort of like stand next to them and point forward towards Krishna consciousness, yeah. And I remember he knew that I was studying philosophy and poetry and stuff, and he says, "You want to see real poetry? Take a look at this Sanskrit. Look at the rhythm. Look at the meters here. Look at the rhymes. Look at the intricate." rhythms that are presented in the wonderful words, Sanskrit meaning always something and then something else. So he really captured me. And I think the big thing is that that is a sign of humility, that you're placing yourself next to the person rather than at the person. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. Thank you, Prabhu. It was beautiful. Connect to the person before uplifting them. That's what I got out of that.
And have a keen sense of humor.
Jai, jai, jai. What's up? What's it? Lotus feet of our spiritual master, the only way by which we can obtain pure devotion and service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. By his grace, cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. I only wish to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is perfection that fills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes, he knows my heart has no knowledge. He is my Lord, my Master. From him ecstatic prema emanates, defiant vigorous. May we choose the sin of his character. Our spiritual master, the ocean of wisdom, the friend of the poor and the Lord of majesty, all master, be merciful unto us. Yes, you say that the Lord.
Temple Room Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the Afterglow. Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, do you have a few minutes? Stay? Yeah. I had a question. So, as a self-taught psychologist, I may say that this false pride or self-pity, they come from a place of being insecure, basically. When we seek validation, we seek recognition because we're insecure, and then that can play out as being proud or beating ourselves down. So, what, as a devotee, as a practicing devotee, what is the proper source of getting our validation? What's the source of our validation and this inner contentment that we don't have to be proud, we don't have to be self-pitiful? What's the true way to get satisfied within, and where we don't have to be proud or self-pitiful? Thank you.
Yeah, the true way to be proud. Yeah, as I said, I think so you mentioned about seeking validity, right? So that is definitely something that is needed, and seeking validity in the form of strengthening our faith is surely something that is needed. Like, how convinced am I of the path, and how convinced am I of the path should lead into how much heart am I putting into it, how much of myself am I putting into it. So that validity is needed in the form of in the form of our personal conviction. But when that, if we are seeking validity in um, how do I put it? If we are seeking validity in in trying to revel in the fact that someone else is lower than us, someone else's philosophies are lower than us, and we are higher or whatnot, that high-low dichotomy, then that validation, even if we, let's say, do understand that, but is that leading me to put my heart more into it, more into the process? Uh, no, maybe, may not be, because if I was trying to put my heart into the process, then I wouldn't have been condescending in the first place, because I can't put my heart into the process and not put my heart into something else in other spheres of my life. And so that's there. So it's seeking validity in the sense of developing our personal conviction is surely good. So there is validity in seeking validation in terms of faith. And in terms of how do we develop that true pride, yeah, I mean, for me personally, I can share that, and different things will resonate with different people. Like, for me, I find the philosophy so interesting. I find the philosophy so fascinating, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. And that gives me, like, it gives me faith, and it also gives me, in some sense, that it fulfills that side of me that is there, which is the philosophical side in me, that yes, this thing has substance, this philosophy has substance. And then that will differ for different people. So people might come for, their initial push in Krishna consciousness may be, the community, for example, right? So which is great, and they'll find that community in bhakti as well, so that will validate their longing. So different devotees will have different uh, longings, different reasons for which they took to the path. And then Krishna consciousness is so broad and so great, so wide actually, that it can fulfill everyone's longings. So it's like the desire fulfilling tree. Shastra is like the desire fulfilling tree. So then we'll find everything here. And yeah, so while we seek that validation, it's just important that we seek that validation in a genuine, humble way, with a view to developing love for Krishna and his devotees. And that way, then we won't, in the name of validating our own perspectives, we won't undermine other perspectives. So, yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Very, very helpful. Yeah, if I'm happy by this yagya, if I'm happy in Krishna consciousness, you can curse at me, you can say whatever you want about me. I will not get offended. I will go on with my service and I will respect other perspectives. I don't have to prove anything. If this validation is coming from Krishna in my service and my connection to the philosophy and sampradaya. Thank you. Bhima Prabhu, can you curse at me? I want to
Yeah,
test.
you look like a Russian spy. You look like a Russian spy. Yeah,
Maybe.
probably outside casing the embassy or something like that.
Thank you. I know I'm a devotee, so I'm not disturbed.
Devotee. This is your way in. You're pretending to be a devotee, but you're really just a Russian spy.
All I did, I just shaved. That's all.
Look great, Prabhu. You handsome young man.
My source of validation is Bhima Prabhu.
You could do Polish spy, Prabhu. That'll work.
Thank you. Thank you. Dear devotees, we're derailing already. If anybody wants to put us back on track, please ask a pertinent question. You can ask impertinent questions, that's fine.
I want to make a comment, and it's a little bit preaching to myself too. It's so important to understand also with like association and reading and service, because yes, Krishna can put us through, difficult situations, provoking situations, but in order for us to come out victorious, it's important that we understand. Um, it's like sort of like how can I say, like having the proper vision, in the sense that we all like to get lost in kirtan, but like um having the proper vision of knowing when to strike when the iron is hot, so to speak. So like, so that understanding is so important. Um and that comes through, like, yeah. Yes. To have the knowledge is not to under mine it. Obviously, like higher devotees, they can go in Raganuga Bhakti, but like without any problem. But like where I am, most of us are, having the knowledge is really important to get us to the right place. And yeah, and I think we should expect that we will be tested, because Krishna consciousness is very expansive. So very much.
Thank you. Nartamita Prabhu. Yeah, Krishna is so wonderful. As soon as we get a little proud, Krishna will teach us a lesson. He'll send a situation or realization. Just, Prabhu, slow down. It's not your credit. Chill. Thank you, Jagannath Gopal.
The big thing is pay attention.
Pay attention.
Pay attention to what's happening. Pay attention, you learn quick. Or you can just ignore it like I did and have a grand adventure.
Jai. Whatever happened, Bhima Prabhu, if you are in the association of Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, Anupam Prabhu, Adi Purusha Prabhu, Bruce Almighty, you are on the right path. Wherever you're going, it's good.
Yeah, you got to take the bad with the good. You can't have the good. All those people you just listed, you got to have bad. I'm part of the balance.
Nice. Thank you, Bhima Prabhu. Sadhvi Devidasi.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for today. As a, how to say, old woman, which I believe many of you is in the age of my children, whenever my children come and complain about something or are stressed about something that they don't manage to do, that they don't have time for it, and so on, I always say, don't try to do more than what you are. And I can say about myself, I didn't came to learn about Krishna consciousness before well over 50. So I believe in the timing. I believe whatever, as long as we hold ourselves, do our best to really chant, maybe sometimes listen, whatever you can to do the spiritual activity, when the timing is right, you will get what is it meant for you to be, to happen this time, this life around. W- Timing is very, I have learned and I have experienced it many, many, many times in all my years. I have experienced it. When the timing is right, will happen. That's it. The only thing is it that you have to be careful not to do, harming things on yourself or anybody, and try to really be active in your spiritual progress. Just keep yourself there, and then everything else will happen the way it should, the way it was programmed to happen. Thank you.
Beautiful, Mataji. Thank you. Chaitanya Chand Prabhu says, in your place, at your pace, access Krishna's grace. So, yeah.
Can you put it in the chat?
Yeah.
Such a nice mantra. Yes, Advaita Krishna says, time I am. So you don't, it's not time that you believe in, but Krishna. Krishna. It knows when the right time is. Sweet. Anupam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, for a wonderful class as always. I always look forward to them. Just in this point that you're talking about Nanda Bihar, I just wanted to enter a quick thing that inspired me, which was, I thought it was interesting how myself in my current state, and I think jivas in general, have that desire to feel validated and will sometimes kind of put themselves forth for praise and recognition. But not only do we see in the great devotees like a lack of that desire, but they actually, it seems, desire to put themselves in a very low position in a very real way. And Jagannath Gopal, you could speak on this too if you'd like. But two cool examples that I like are Lord Chaitanya. He was always going into ecstasy, and there was one or two times where he kind of lost himself in ecstasy, and then he came back and he said, "Oh, I was actually just faking it. I want people to think I'm really advanced, and so I was pretending like I'm ecstatic, but really I'm just like the degraded personality who's like trying to fake people out." And then I think Jagannath Gopal, you probably know, I forget if it was Sanatan, I think it was Sanatan, or maybe it was Rupa Goswami, where that scholar came to challenge them, and he immediately wrote down on a paper like, "Yeah, you defeated me," and you could show it to everybody. So I think what they find in that is like a really strong taste for being in the humble, subservient position to Krishna, and they're so careful not to leave that post.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So like this this Rupa Goswami pastime, this happens actually Jiva Goswami. This incident is often discussed in the life of Jiva Goswami. And yeah, it's such in one sense, a controversial thing because, Jiva Goswami defends Rupa Goswami, and then, but that aside, you're right that Rupa Goswami, his validation was not in defeating this scholar. He just wrote down on the certificate, yeah, I'm defeated. So he was not. So there is that aspect of avyartha kalatvam also. So there are 9 characteristics of a person situated in love of God. In Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Prabhupada writes, this is chapter 19, I believe. So one of those things is avyartha kalatvam. So not wasting time in mundane things. So he was, and that one aspect, and dainya. sorry, not dainya, mana shunyata, the lack of desire for one, respect for oneself. So these two are actually one of the two of the 9 qualities that are manifested in a person, who manifested strongly in a person who is tasting prema, tasting love of Krishna. And Rupa Goswami was exhibiting that. Even Mahaprabhu was exhibiting that. And yeah, I guess you did mention that initially in our Krishna consciousness, we might feel that need for recognition, which is totally valid. We can't reject that in the name of when we see these great acharyas, the examples, we can't reject that, because if we reject that, that will actually affect our Krishna consciousness. So if yes, if I want recognition and I seek that recognition, it's okay to do that as long as I am conscious enough to redirect it to my guru. If I'm trying to revel in that, then that is an issue there. But then yeah, I want to achieve certain things, I want to develop certain things, distribute a number of books, or present a certain topic in an effective way, whatever that is, that desire for validity in the form of recognition, it's not wrong. It's only wrong when we get stuck to that for our own self, is what I feel. So yeah, yeah, but beautiful examples, Anupam Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dear devotees, are we ready for the junior choir? Sundari Radha, Sage Sky, Annabelle Isaiah, please. So nice to see you.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Thank you very much, and happy Sunday to you all, dear devotees. We love you, and we
Bye
need
bye.
you.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Prabhupada, all glories to Jiva Goswami and his follower Jagannath Gopal Prabhu. Thank you.
It's
Thank
always so sweet to end it with the kids.